Once upon a time, a young woman went to a wise man and said, "Everyone tells me to be strong, but nobody tells me how." The wise man smiled and said, "Strength is not in your muscles. Strength is in your choices." Once a young woman sat quietly in a crowded room, smiling at everyone, agreeing with everyone, helping everyone. Yet inside, she felt empty, not because life was unfair, but because she had forgotten one simple truth: strength begins when you stop abandoning yourself. Smart women understand this early or learn it through pain. They know that self-respect is not arrogance, it is self-care. When you value yourself, you teach others how to treat you. You don't shout your worth, you live it. And slowly the world adjusts. They also understand their emotions. Emotions are powerful servants but dangerous masters. A smart woman feels deeply, but she pauses before reacting. She breathes before speaking. She reflects before deciding. Because one uncontrolled moment can damage what years of patience built. Silence at times is not weakness. It is intelligence resting. Comfort is tempting. It tells you to stay small, stay safe, stay invisible. But growth whispers, there is more inside you. Smart women listen to that whisper. They invest in learning. They upgrade their thinking. They choose long-term strength over short-term ease. They know beauty may catch attention, but character earns respect. They do not waste energy explaining their value to those who are committed to misunderstanding them. A candle does not argue with the darkness, it simply shines. When your actions speak, explanations become unnecessary. Those who see will see. Those who don't were never meant to. Kindness flows naturally from smart women, but so do boundaries. They give, but not until they are empty. They love, but not until they disappear. They have the courage to say no without guilt, and yes without fear. Because protecting your peace is not selfish, it is responsibility. They do not measure their life using someone else's ruler. Someone else's success does not reduce their chances. Someone else's timeline does not cancel their destiny. They understand that a seed underground is not dead, it is preparing. So they trust their pace, their process, their path. And most importantly, they build a beautiful inner world. They take care of their thoughts. They nurture their values. They strengthen their connection with purpose. Outer beauty may attract eyes, but inner peace attracts the right life. A smart woman is not flawless. She gets tired. She feels lost. She breaks sometimes. But she never forgets that falling is an event, not an identity. She stands again, not because life is easy, but because her spirit is trained. So if you are listening today, remember, you don't need to become louder to become stronger. You don't need to become harder to become wiser. You only need to become more honest with yourself. When a woman becomes strong in her mind, calm in her heart, and clear in her values, she doesn't chase the world. A woman once asked, "How do I become strong without becoming cold?" The answer is simple but not easy: become wise. Strength without wisdom becomes arrogance. Kindness without wisdom becomes weakness. But wisdom creates balance. Smart women live in that balance. They understand that their worth is not decided by how much they tolerate, how much they sacrifice, or how much they stay silent. Their value exists even on the days they do nothing for anyone. They don't shrink themselves to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold their spirit. They stand gently, but firmly, in who they are. They also understand the language of emotions. They know anger will visit, disappointment will knock, and fear will sometimes sit beside them. But they don't allow temporary feelings to write permanent decisions. They pause, they observe. They choose peace over drama, clarity over chaos. They realize that not every battle deserves their energy, and not every comment deserves their response. A smart woman is not in a hurry to prove anything. She is more interested in improving than impressing. While the world is busy showing, she is quietly growing. While others are counting likes, she is counting lessons. She knows real confidence does not announce itself, it is felt. She gives love but not blindly. She helps but not endlessly. She listens but does not absorb every negativity around her. Boundaries become her form of self-respect. She understands that protecting her mental space is just as important as protecting her physical body. Peace becomes her priority, not an afterthought. She does not compare her chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. She does not feel small because someone else is shining. She understands that the sun and the moon both exist, but they shine at different times. Life is not a race, it is a journey, and every journey has its own rhythm. A smart woman also accepts her imperfections. She knows she will fail sometimes. She will trust the wrong people sometimes. She will make emotional decisions sometimes, but she does not live in guilt. She learns, she adjusts, she moves forward. She treats herself with the same compassion she offers others. And slowly, something beautiful happens. Her presence becomes calm. Her words become thoughtful. Her silence becomes powerful. People may not always understand her choices, but they feel her strength. She does not demand respect. Her behavior invites it. She does not chase attention. Her character attracts it. So if you are listening today and feel tired of trying to be everything for everyone, remember this: you were not born to be exhausted. You were born to be alive. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need approval to be valuable. Become strong in your values, gentle in your words, clear in your boundaries, and peaceful in your heart. When a woman reaches that place inside herself, life stops testing her and stops trusting her. And that is real intelligence. A woman once told me, "I try so hard, yet I feel invisible." And in that simple sentence was the story of so many of us. We live trying to please, trying to prove, trying to perform. But smart women understand that the first person they need to please is themselves. They don't measure their value by applause or approval. They quietly nurture their own worth, and that becomes their foundation. When you stand on your own dignity, the world naturally respects you. They also learn to understand emotions instead of being controlled by them. Life brings fear, anger, disappointment, and heartbreak, but a wise woman does not allow these temporary storms to dictate her long-term decisions. She feels fully, she pauses intentionally, she responds mindfully. Reacting is easy, but responding is an art, and smart women are artists of life. Their energy is not wasted in futile battles. Their words are chosen, their actions intentional. They know peace is earned, not given. Comfort can be alluring. It tells you to stay small, to play safe, to avoid challenges. But growth always whispers differently. A smart woman listens to that whisper. She invests in learning, in cultivating skills, and in understanding herself. She seeks experiences that expand her mind and her heart. She knows that external beauty may attract attention, but inner strength and character command respect that lasts a lifetime. She is patient with herself, yet relentless in pursuit of growth. A smart woman also understands boundaries. She gives generously, but not until she is drained. She helps, but not until she is diminished. She loves, but not until she loses herself. Saying no does not make her unkind. It makes her wise. She protects her mental space and her energy, because only when she is whole can she contribute fully to the world around her. Self-respect is never selfish. It is the first step to true freedom. Comparison is another trap she avoids. She does not measure her journey against others' achievements. She knows every person blooms in their own time. Someone else's speed does not define her pace. Someone else's success does not minimize hers. She trusts the process of life, knowing that growth is silent and often invisible, yet consistent. Most importantly, she builds her inner world. She invests in her thoughts, her values, and her purpose. She nurtures mental clarity, emotional resilience, and spiritual calm. Outer beauty fades with time, but the peace and wisdom cultivated inside remain. She is not perfect. She stumbles, she questions, she experiences doubt. Yet she never forgets that each failure is a lesson, each setback a step toward growth. When a woman becomes strong, balanced, and peaceful from within, she no longer chases validation. The world begins to make space for her naturally. Her presence becomes calming. Her words carry weight. Her actions inspire without effort. And slowly, silently, power shifts from needing recognition to being rooted in self-awareness and inner strength. That is intelligence, that is grace, and that is the life worth striving for. A woman once shared, "I feel like I am carrying the weight of the world, but no one notices." And in that confession lies a truth many fail to seize. Life is not about being noticed, it is about being grounded. Smart women understand this. They know that the first recognition they need is their own. When you respect yourself, honor your choices, and nurture your values, the world begins to align naturally. You do not demand respect, you live it. And that is far more powerful than seeking approval. They understand that emotions are neither enemies nor chains, they are signals. Life will bring moments of anger, sadness, jealousy, and fear, but these do not have to define actions. A smart woman experiences fully, reflects deeply, and chooses responses that preserve her peace. She does not react impulsively, nor does she allow temporary discomfort to disrupt her long-term calm. Silence often becomes her ally, not because she is weak, but because she is strong enough to wait for clarity before acting. Comfort tempts everyone. It whispers, "Stay here." It is safe, it is familiar, but growth calls differently. A smart woman listens to that quiet voice inside, the one that nudges her toward learning, expanding, and evolving. She invests in herself not to impress others, but to become more capable, more insightful, and more resilient. She knows that external beauty may win attention, but it is character, wisdom, and inner strength that leave a lasting impression. She understands that patience with herself, coupled with consistent effort, creates lifelong growth. Boundaries are essential to her life. She helps, she supports, she loves, but never at the cost of losing herself. Saying no does not make her unkind. It protects her energy and preserves her purpose. She understands that giving endlessly without replenishing is not generosity, it is self-erasure. And protecting one's mental and emotional space is an act of courage and intelligence, because without it, peace becomes impossible. She avoids the trap of comparison. Life is not a race, and someone else's achievements do not define her worth. She trusts her own timing, her own path, and her own progress. A flower does not compete with another. It blooms when it is ready. Similarly, she nurtures her life quietly, knowing that growth is often invisible at first, but it is happening steadily and surely. Finally, she builds an inner world that is unshakable. She cultivates her thoughts, her values, her purpose, and her faith in what is meaningful. Outer beauty may fade, but the peace she nurtures inside remains. She is not perfect. She falls, she doubts, she experiences fear. Yet every setback becomes a lesson, every struggle becomes a teacher, and every failure becomes a stepping stone. When a woman reaches this balance, strong in her mind, gentle in her words, clear in her purpose, and calm in her heart, the world starts to make space for her. She no longer chases recognition because her life itself speaks volumes. And in that quiet, steady power lies her real intelligence, her real grace, and her real freedom. A young woman once said, "I try to be everything for everyone, yet I feel exhausted and unnoticed." And that is the story of so many lives, pouring out energy in all directions, but forgetting the most important person, herself. Smart women understand that their strength begins from within. They honor themselves, protect their peace, and nurture their own growth before seeking it from anyone else. They do not ask for respect, they embody it quietly, consistently, and powerfully. They understand emotions not as enemies, but as messengers. Life brings fear, anger, disappointment, and sadness, but a wise woman does not allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent decisions. She pauses, reflects, and responds with intention. She knows that reacting is easy, but responding is mastery, and mastery over oneself is the foundation of every wise choice. Her energy is not wasted on unnecessary conflicts, nor are her words given lightly. Silence, at times, becomes her strength, not weakness, because she understands the power of measured thought. Comfort often tempts her, whispering, "Stay small, stay safe, stay predictable." But growth speaks in a softer, persistent voice. There is more inside you than you see. Smart women listen to that voice. They invest in themselves through learning, through reflection, and through experiences that challenge their mind and heart. They understand that beauty may catch attention, but inner strength, clarity, and character earn lasting respect. Patience and persistence, even when unseen, become their lifelong allies. Boundaries are non-negotiable. She gives generously, supports lovingly, and cares deeply, but never at the cost of losing herself. Saying no is not unkind, it is wise. Protecting her time, energy, and peace is essential, because only when she is whole can she genuinely contribute to others. Overgiving without replenishment leads to exhaustion, but balance brings both generosity and sustainability. Comparison is a trap she avoids. Life is not a competition, and someone else's achievements do not diminish hers. She trusts her own journey and respects her own timing. A seed does not hurry to become a tree, it grows in its own rhythm. Similarly, she nurtures her own growth quietly, with faith that consistent effort, even if invisible now, will bear fruit in its time. Finally, she invests in her inner world. She cultivates her thoughts, her values, and her sense of purpose. She understands that external beauty fades, but inner calm, wisdom, and resilience endure. She is not perfect. She stumbles, doubts, and sometimes feels lost. Yet she treats each mistake as a lesson and each struggle as a stepping stone. When a woman reaches this balance, strong in mind, calm in heart, clear in purpose, she no longer seeks validation from the world. Her presence speaks louder than words, her actions inspire, and her life naturally commands respect. And in this quiet, steady, invisible strength lies her real power, her real intelligence, and her real freedom. So remember, a smart woman is not perfect. She cries sometimes, she falls sometimes, she doubts sometimes, but she never forgets one thing. I am a work in progress, not a mistake. If you are a woman listening today, don't try to be liked by everyone. Don't try to fit into every place. Don't try to carry every burden. Instead, become wise, become strong inside, become peaceful. Because when a woman becomes strong in her mind, the whole world quietly makes space for her. Thank you.